Okay, today I wanted to explore a couple of cool chords. To me, these two chords have a sort of a sophistication to them. You may have recognized a couple of songs I just played there. So the notes are, you can even hit that open E if you want. So open E, A on the 7, D on the 5, G string is on the 7, and B string's on the 7. So it looks like this. Do you see those fingers? Don't worry about that high E. So for this purposes, let's let that E ring, shall we? Because it is an E minor chord, a minor 7th, and it's got a little added 13 to it, but we won't even worry about that. And then to go, here's my point though on this one, to go to the next chord is not that difficult, because you can just take this second finger, okay, that you got on the E note of the A string, which is the 7, and just lift that up and put it on the 5th fret, of the D string. Now, what you do have to move. Let's see if I can show you how to do that easily. So I'll go from that. And then what I do is I lift up these fingers and I keep the pinky where it is. So the B string is the 7, which is already there, right? And all you do is open up the A string, hit the 5th fret with your 1st finger on the D string, 6th fret with your 2nd finger on the G string. And don't worry about that high E. So in slow motion it'd be like this. And then, does that make sense to you? Now let me show you what you can do with that. I'll show you a couple of things. But one is you could make a loop and jam with it, and it's a fun sort of basically a 1/4, but it's a little more sophisticated than that. So let's check out what I can do with it. I'll do a little boss gags for you. So something like. In this case, I'm letting that, I'm snapping that E note on the 7th fret of the A. I'm hammering it on. That's what the bass player does. It's a little bit tricky, but if you go from your 1st and your 3rd out of the 5 and the 7 on the A, hammer it on. And then come down hard on that E. But you gotta stop it, right? Kind of funky. Got my wife dancing over there. So cool sound, huh? Now the way I'm getting that sound is I'm doing the same lick a couple of times. So I'm going and hitting that E minor 7th, and then I'm doing it again. I'm going, and then the A 13. So there's a little bit of target note stuff going on there. I'm going to call the target note the low E and the low A. So I think the magic of that particular change is that you're letting the 1 ring out over the change of the 4. And anytime you do that, whether it's in E like this, it works. It's kind of an extended chord, right? And another example of that is sometimes you'll hear stuff in the key of A, like Springsteen stuff. We're going to take an A chord and just hammer on the 4th and the 3rd of the D and B string, and you'll get a 4 chord of D, but that's the real sound, isn't it? The reason is because I'm hammering on, it's like a Keith Richards sounds. But in this case, the same application applies, but it's a completely different voicing and sound. It's a minor 7th, so. Now, if you want to get rhythmic with it, and say you're playing with a friend or something, or piano player, or another guitar player, or a bass player, whatever. You can get rhythmic with it, like a, doesn't have to be low down, it could be spooky. Remember that one by the Classics 4? Everything is getting kind of groovy. Well, I called you on the phone and I asked you, do you want to see a movie? I'm cracking my wife up over here. She's doing her artwork. So those two chords, I think, will be a fun add to your, if you don't know them, you can just go back and just check it out, slow motion. It's just so pretty. And then hit that low E. Why not? Let it ring, yeah. And if you want to do it differently, you can ultimately voice that A string separately, like, and then if you want to separate the two, that's fine too. And lastly, I'll leave you with this. Once you learn this shape, you can do it all the way up and down the neck. Or anywhere. Like a boss, he modulates for the solo. I think that's Steve Lukather, right? There you go. So it almost sounds like you're a jazz player, but I'm not a jazz player. But I love good R&B and Al Green and that kind of stuff. So that's one of those soul chords that I just really have fun with. So I hope you enjoyed that. I tried to make it as simple as I could, because I know that I have to remind myself every day that when I'm sharing my ideas with you guys, you may be at any different level out there. It could be beginner, intermediate, advanced, whatever. So I always try to keep that in mind when I make a lesson, that it's something, I call it blues you can use or whatever, but it's something that you guys can grok. And I'd love to hear your comments on it if you got any, or ideas, for stuff that you want to see or hear. I'm happy to accommodate it. So I'll see you. I'm at my studio in Santa Cruz, and I'm really digging it up here. It's my wife's grandpa's old workshop, and we've turned it into a music art space, and we're digging it. So if you're in Santa Cruz, hit me up. All right. See you down the road.